see you. Sorry, I was listening to some Dungeon Synth again, trying to get inspired to talk about, well, on being inspired, or inspirations that help create my RPG, Magi-geddon. Magi-geddon. There we go. Let's get right into it, shall we? But first, I have a small announcement. I have started a Ko-Fi page. Feel free, you're not obligated to buy me a coffee. There's a chance, or you may do a monthly subscription where you have access to like alpha versions of Magi-geddon when they're available. You'll have access to my notes, some GM journals for like my old school adventures campaign, my Star Wars Edge of the Empire campaign. There'll also be, you'll first look at videos before they're actually posted upon the YouTube channel, and some specialized videos that will never be on YouTube, just on the Ko-Fi page. There's also commission. So what that commission is, if you have an idea for, say, a spellbook or a magic artifact, ring, wand, mask, whatever, give me a vague or specific, go as specific as you want, vague as you want. If you have a name for it, that's fine. $15, I will write it out, stat it up, and put it into the game Magi-geddon itself. The final publication, you'll get full credit for that magic item, and you'll be listed in the acknowledgments, in the credits. There'll be a link below. There'll be links for every book that I'm going to talk about today to purchase, and also maybe to find reviews on, and any creator I mentioned there'll be links below. Let's get to it. And the first one, I love this book. This really inspired me, more than just making Magi-geddon, but just my DM and GM styles, and that's from Hank Farnell of Roomhammer, the ICRPG, or Index Card role-playing game. And let me tell y'all, just the Game Master section itself is worth the price of entry, so to speak. The whole book, Hank is just a mad genius of design philosophy and ideas, and how to structure encounters and sessions, and dealing with players and the flow of the game. He's just a titan among men. And do yourself a favor, go subscribe to his channel. Get this book. Even if you're an aspiring DMGM, or you've been one for as long as I have, for almost 40 years, there is stuff to be learned and to retain and to regurgitate into your own sessions and campaigns. Please get this book. I cannot recommend it highly enough. The game itself is fantastic, but so many ideas, brimming. Every single one of these books I'm going to go over, there'll be a further review and thoughts on it in the weeks to come. This will be the first one, obviously. It's so good. The second is by David Black. It's called The Black Hack. It's pretty much a DIY OSR game with modern sensibilities. Great game, cool artwork. But what I really like about it are all these different random tables, counter tables, hex terrain generators, very easy to read, very nicely laid out. A dungeon generator with inhabitants generator. I use this on my campaigns. It doesn't matter if it's my Star Wars, my OSC, if I do 5th Ed, if I do one-shots. I look to this book for several ideas to help get the creative juices flowing. Highly recommend. Again, I'll have the links down below. Next up, this next one, Mortborg, which is Swedish for Dark Fort. Really, just look at doom metal. That is what. Oh, that's so cool. This is like the book in the 80s when everybody said D&D satanic. Yeah, they were talking about this book. They were just 40 years too late. This really went in the first iteration of Magi-geddon when it was Dungeon Bastards, the really grim, dark version. This really influenced it. It still influences as far as my final layouts are going to go for Magi-geddon, because it's the art punk zine. I mean, just look at these layouts, man. It's just fantastic, right? And any book that has tables on the end papers for the GM to quickly access at any given time is a huge plus. I'm going to do the same thing with Magi-geddon, I'm also going to have sheets, PDF sheets that you can print up that you can put into a modular DM screen. That's neither here nor there. I was just thinking about it. Maze Rats. This is from Questing Beast, Bill Milton, whose nave system I'm using as the engine for Magi-geddon. Very similar to the Black Hack. There's tons of tables, 6x6. What I really like about this is the magic. You can generate magic spells. And again, just get the ideas flowing for the spell books and the magical artifacts in Magi-geddon. I look at this, and then I kind of roll with it, and then just let the creative universe dictate what those spells are going to be. Give it the fluff that it needs, but that's the base to help. If I'm stuck on a spell, I can go to those tables and get a spell going. Speaking of spells, this is not a role-playing game. It's a card game, a board game, called Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards. And similar to the generating tables in Maze Rats, this uses cards, and you play like different wizards, and you battle each other at the table. It's so fun. You just get the games to play. And I forgot I had it, and I was trying to think of some ways to get that gonzo spell descriptors going. And I remember that I had this. So it uses these cards, and each card, like you get an initiator card and a middle card that kind of describes it, and then you get the last card, and you put these three cards together, and you come up with a spell, and you try to beat the other players. But anyway, give you an example. I have Gonzo Shroom Pusses. That's the initiator. Pollinating. The artwork's so awesome. Bitch Witch. So I can take that. I can take these crazy, weird, out there Gonzo ideas and come up with maybe an old wizard's name or a derivative of theirs, what it does, and the in effect, and come up with these really weird spells you can't find anywhere else, like in like D&D or Pathfinder or something like that. Really crazy, really kooky, really gonzo. A fun game to play with your friends. I recommend it a lot. They have like tons of different sets you can get, so you can just keep building and have all these different spells and wizards. DCC, or Dungeon Crawl Classics. This is a variation of D&D 3.0. But again, I keep coming back to gonzo. I just love that word. I think it fits what I'm trying to do. Again, look at this artwork. Look at that artwork. It just gets the juices going, gets you ready to play, doesn't it? I really like what they've done with this. What really captivates me are two things. One is what they call the funnel system. Dungeon Bastards was going to use a similar system. I call it the Forge system, where you create like 2 to 4 0-level characters, and you run them through an adventure, and whichever character survived was your character for the campaign. Characters only go to level 10 in Dungeon Crawl Classics. Same as with Dungeon Bastards, ran on that, and so was Magi-geddon. Also, I love what they do with the spells. Each spell has baked in they're roll to cast, same thing as Dungeon Bastards, same thing as Magi-geddon, but they have built in how it can manifest and how the corruption takes place, how can it go critically fail. Dungeon Bastards had that baked into their spells. Since I don't have spells per se in Magi-geddon, it's through artifacts. And there's spells in spell books, but you don't have like a spell list. There's a table now. It made it easier because there's going to be like so many spells in Magi-geddon, like maybe thousands of spells because of the different artifacts. They're all spell driven. It's going to be fun. We'll talk about this more, especially with the next video. We'll delve into that. Last but not least, it's not RPG. It's an RPG setting, or more like a mini setting. And I use this in my OSC campaign right now. It's called Woodfall, and it's by the Lazy Lich. And it's a mini campaign. It just kind of fits into whatever campaign you're running. It's a little mini setting with witches and anarchists and necromancers. It's really cool. It's in a swamp. but I really like it because I love Zelda's Majora's Mask, and they have a mask shop with all these different what these masks can do, and you can make your own for the players to discover. And I love mask, and I'm adding a mask section in Magi-geddon, and this kind of really inspired me to really delve into it. Also, when they describe the monsters and beasts and the flora of the swamp, like Monster Hunter, you can get bits and pieces, and you can sell them for like different ingredients for potions or spell or wands. And I'm adding that feature into Magi-geddon. I don't know if the players are going to have the capability to make this, since it's been centuries since magic was lost. But I think they can find someone, maybe I'll call her like the Bone Witch, who lives in a swamp. Hey, Mama, maybe Mama Wormtooth, who can take those ingredients and make potions and some maybe rings or scrolls or something for the players. I'm thinking about that. They give it kind of a Monster Hunter collectability component. There we go, component into the game. Last but not least, the two remaining inspirations for me. At the beginning, I said I was listening to Dungeon Synth, and I love Dungeon Synth. I like to disconnect from the technological world and kind of align myself with the creative universe, and do that. I walk about 3 or 4 miles every morning before I start my day, and I usually listen to Dungeon Synth or something, and just let the universe empty itself and get my creative juices going and see where that's going to go. I recommend it. Just take an hour, disconnect for a little bit, meditate, do yoga, run, swim, whatever it is that you like to do. Number two, the last but not least inspiration is your local library. I know we're in a pandemic. You don't have to go to the library. Many have several online resources. I like to go and look at books of ancient civilizations and get ideas of what these artifacts will look like, how I can describe them to my players when they discover them in these ancient, forgotten ruins from the Magi-geddon that happened centuries and centuries before. Anyway, that's my video on inspiration, what inspired me to get Magi-geddon going. Next video, we'll actually, chapter 2, we're going to go into the concept of Magi-geddon. We're going to go into the rules and how this differs from all the other different RPGs that are out there that you can spend your well-earned money on. I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.